The show about the shellacking Democrats are on their way to receiving in the midterm elections, especially in the House. But what about the Senate? A big state to watch this fall is going to be Pennsylvania. It'll be huge, and we're going to be watching who will be the Republican candidate coming out of the primary. It's a very crowded field, including, Dr. Oz. You know, the guy that used to be on that TV show. But someone making waves in the race, actually, is Kathy Barnette. She is a force to be reckoned with. And it makes sense when you hear her life story. She came into this world as a product of rape. Her mother was just 12 years old when she was born. Here's a clip from her campaign explaining more.
I grew up in southern Alabama, very rural, one-stop sign town called Nichburg. Getting ready to go to college, I decided to go into the Army Reserves, but I had to go get my birth certificate, mainly because the name was different. The name I had always grown up with was Nelson, but then come to find out there was something completely different on my birth certificate. Clearly, I could have done the math and realized just how young my mother was when she gave birth to me, but it was never something that truly resonated with me until I looked at my birth certificate for the very first time and just kind of studied it. Her gender, they called her a Negro girl, and that was the first thing I saw, and it just kind of grabbed my heart. But then I saw her age, and she was 12. And that just really struck a chord in me because I realized just how young my mother was when something so horrible had visited upon her. Even to this day, it's a very hard word to say, but my mother was raped, given her young age at 11 years old, my father being 21.
They was hurt. We was all devastated. But my mother said, you know, you're pregnant, so we're going to get through this. And she helped me get through it. I don't want to use the word choice. She was going to be born. I didn't have a choice to say, you're going to live, or I'm going to abort you. That wasn't a choice for me. And I thank God it wasn't a choice for me.
As a child, I knew no difference. I was loved, and I felt loved. It gave me a greater appreciation for my mother. It helped me to forgive a lot of the mistakes someone at that age, having gone through such trauma, would have made in their own parenting. But it definitely made me become very adamant about the sanctity of life, of all life, regardless of their conception, regardless of how they arrived, that I am valuable, I'm worthy, and my life has purpose. Before the foundation of the world, God saw me and he decided that I would be. And he said in his word that not only did I see you, but I called you, I predestined you. And so as a Christian, I believe in the value of life, that when I was in my mother's womb, he was knitting me together.
It's an amazing, uplifting story. Your value is in Christ. Do not let anybody tell you anything differently. And Kathy Barnette is with us now on the show. Kathy, so glad you're not only with us today, but that you are in this world, you're living and breathing. I appreciate you being here.
Yeah, I was in the waiting room, kind of fan back the tears. You know, it's a very personal story. And it's not one that I've told often. And it's one that I just recently started telling in 2019, well before I knew I would ever be running for office. But I just began to feel a very real conviction as our nation started having this conversation again about the sanctity of life in such a very robust kind of way. And I started really having this thought that if my story could save one life, why would I not tell it? And that started me to sharing my story after so many years of recognizing it. And it truly is my hope that my story helps, you know, add a different level, a different layer of understanding about this topic.
Well, I'm glad you're speaking out, and the issue of life is winning. There's no doubt about that. Look, you're a strong, conservative Black woman. What opportunity does that present for you in this upcoming primary? And what about the challenges it presents as well? What has this been like for you?
Yeah, listen, I am so very grateful to God that I am not sitting on the sidelines, that I am not a Facebook warrior, but that I am out here on the street. We're up to about 1,000 miles a week, and we've been keeping this pace for the most part for the past 4 months of just going all throughout the Commonwealth, and it is working. In every single poll that has come out, I am consistently in the top 2, and I think there's been about 7 or 8 polls. And now I've come out of the caucus, one of the largest caucuses here, and again, I am in a very strong second position, having more votes than all 3 of the carpetbaggers who are in this race. So I say my race is going very well. An opportunity, I just had lunch with about 30 Black men. I was in between meetings, had lunch with them for about an hour. The first 30 minutes, I talked to them. The next 30 minutes, I had all of them to pull out their phones, and they all changed their registration from Democrat to Republican. I'm speaking to those from the Horn of Africa, about 100,000 of them here in Pennsylvania. We're having a party this Saturday. They are calling it Change Your Registration Party. That is the power of having someone like myself with my story, my journey, a sense of believability when you're walking into other communities that aren't, always so open to the Republican Party. I'm a gift that keeps on giving to the Republican Party if they can recognize it, and many are, so I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah, for sure. I saw something on Twitter that you put up about that. You actually had a picture there about people changing right there. You can see, you say, OMG, there it is, right? And all of these folks changing their registration, which is pretty cool. What does this say about the Republican Party going forward, reaching out to minorities?
Listen, and it's not just my own minorities. I walked into a room full of Amish people. Amish came out really huge for President Trump in 2016.
Amish for Trump. Amish for Trump. Go ahead.
Amish for Trump. Let me tell you. And if you go to my Facebook page at Kathy Barnette for Senate, you will see a video of me walking into this room full of Amish people, and they introduced me as someone who has their values. They interrupted me in applause. Now, what does that mean for the Republican Party? Again, I'm up to over 1,000 miles a week at this point all across the state. And every room I walk into, about half the people have never been involved in politics before 2020. And now they are. These people are wide-eyed, bushy-tailed, and they are ready. So I believe there's a great awakening that's about to happen to the Republican Party. A lot of new blood, a lot of new energy. They may not look and feel like or sound like the traditional Republican, but they are Republican. Democrats are some of the best people in teaching us why we should never vote Democrat again. They are some of the best instructors. No one can teach a lesson like the Democrat Party. And I believe over the past 2 years, people have learned a very valuable lesson. These people are not playing with us. Yeah. When they say fundamentally change our nation, they mean fundamentally change. And by fundamentally change, I mean screw it up really well. And people are seeing that, they realize that, and they're looking for fighters. No more plastic politicians.
Right. And I've got about less than a minute left, but what is the state of the Republican Party today? In other words, everybody talks about Trump, and this is Trump's party, and then the rhinos need to be purged. How do you see the Republican Party? Is Trump kind of a litmus test for Republicans today?
Some say they are, but listen, we have, D.C. is a swamp, and in every swamp you have alligators, and you have some alligators that are on a rock sunbathing, and then you have other alligators that are right up on you. Democrats are the alligators that are right up on us. So we need to be real focused, real clear. Don't focus on the alligators on the rock sunbathing. Focus on the alligator that is right up on us and is about to destroy our country. That is one of my messages, is focus, people, because these people on the left, they are very serious about destroying this country.
Very interesting. And that was great multitasking there. I hope it wasn't an alligator on the line. We can only hope it wasn't an alligator. Kathy Barnette, we've got to have you back on the show. There's so much to talk to you about. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much, David.
Great stuff. Look, she's making waves in the great state of Pennsylvania. Obviously, the Democrat is going to be the favorite there to a degree, but that doesn't mean anything, especially with this red wave that is anticipated in the fall of 2022.